Hi, I'm Nora from Denmark. I was an ordinary teenager. I lived with my mom, went to school, and in the evenings, I turned into the mysterious moon. That's how I signed my drawings. The thing is, I liked drawing graffiti under the cover of night. Look, do you like it? It all began when my mom fainted. My blood ran cold, and I immediately called an ambulance. At the hospital, my mom was examined and told that she had a serious illness. They helped her recover from her episode and sent her back home. Life wasn't easy after that. My mom worked for a family of Danish aristocrats. However, she was so weak she couldn't go to their mansion. We were quickly running out of money. We had never been rich, but now we barely had enough to buy groceries. In the end, I decided to work instead of mom. My life immediately changed. Before lunch, I went to school, then took care of my mom, and finally cleaned up in the aristocrat's mansion in the evenings. It was so huge, I'd even call it a castle. That wasn't an easy schedule to stick to, but I still set aside time for my hobby and went out at night to draw graffiti. However, it was getting hard to find walls for my street art. After all, I had a mysterious rival. They were always one step ahead of me. Can you believe it? During the day, I would find a wall for my future masterpiece and then come back to it at night, only to see that someone had already drawn a graffiti on it. That brat had a signature too. A crown. What? Here too? That bastard. Even though I had been working in the mansion for several weeks, I hadn't met its owners yet. I'd only seen their family portrait. The Baron and Baroness had a son my age called Olaf. He had the title of Prince. Can you imagine? A real prince! And a handsome one as well. It was time to get a grip. He was way out of my league. One day, I was asked to serve them at a family dinner. My palms were sweating, and I dropped the tray with food over the prince. Oops, I thought he would throw a fit, but Olaf turned out to be a cool and friendly guy. I'm sorry, I'll clean everything up. Don't worry, it's just a couple of spots. Having said that, he went back to scrolling through his phone. How curious. Even though he was a prince, he was no different from my peers. His parents, though, had refined manners and acted like real aristocrats. Soon, a girl joined them for dinner. Olaf's parents were not happy about it. What is she doing here? Mom, come on! Esther is my girlfriend. Stop trying to break us up just because she's not a princess. Oh, it seemed there was trouble in paradise. It was none of my business, though. After such a hard day, I wanted to relax and have fun with my spray paints. A couple of days ago, I found a great place under a bridge. I headed there. However, as soon as I arrived, I saw a guy in a hood. He had already finished his graffiti and was drawing a crown. It was him again! I ran up to him and pulled off his hood. Gotcha! Let's see who you are. Your Highness? I was speechless when I realized that Olaf was my rival. Now it was clear why his signature was a crown. Shh, please don't shout. Wait, Nora, don't you work in our mansion? I nodded. The prince begged me not to tell anyone about his secret hobby. My parents will lose it if they find out what I've been up to. Olaf was a great guy, so I agreed to keep a secret. We spent the evening walking around the city, drawing, chatting, and laughing. Are you the moon artist then? I've seen your work. I like your style. That night, we became friends. Olaf's parents would have hardly approved of their son hanging out with the staff, so we only hung out in secret. Soon enough, we had a bunch of inside jokes. One day, I was dusting the castle when I overheard the Baron and the Baroness scolding the prince for dating Esther. You should break up with her and find a girl of higher status. I didn't know much about Esther. She wasn't an aristocrat, but she seemed like a normal girl. Olaf didn't say anything and stormed away angrily. Later, I caught him spray painting the Grand Hall and muttering something. Who did they think they are? Kings of the world? What are you doing? Oh, it's you, Nora. I decided to get back at my parents. They are such snobs. I'm sick of it. I liked Olaf's rebellious spirit, so I helped him. We had a lot of fun drawing our signatures. That evening, my mother told me terrible news when I came back. I saw a doctor today. My disease has come back, and now I need an expensive surgery. Oh no! Mom, I'm going to drop out of school and get another job. We will find the money. Don't even think about it. Your education comes first. Mom made me promise that I would think about my future above all else. Still, I couldn't help worrying. Only a surgery could save my mom. Where was I supposed to get so much money? The next day, I came to the mansion in a terrible mood. Things went downhill from there. Olaf's mom was angry about something. Young lady, just because our castle was built in the 16th century doesn't mean we don't have surveillance cameras here. She said she saw what we did to the Grand Hall. Oh, damn it! What was I thinking? I couldn't afford to lose my job now. I was about to start begging her not to fire me when she said something unexpected. You and my son seem to be close friends. I'll overlook the property damage and even reward you if you do something for me. She asked me to break Olaf and Esther up. I froze up. Of course I needed the money, but I couldn't do something so terrible. The Baroness gave me an hour to think and left. I decided that I would not get involved in something so dirty. But then I got a call from the hospital and was told that my mother had been hospitalized. No, it was a nightmare. I had no time to lose. So I accepted the money from Olaf's parents despite feeling terrible about it and paid for Mom's surgery. Luckily, it was successful. Mom was on the mend and undergoing rehabilitation in the hospital. It was time for me to fulfill my part of the deal. I came up with a plan to break the prince and Esther up. First of all, I casually asked Olaf if he ever thought his girlfriend was only dating him for money. What? No, Esther's not like that. I expected such an answer, but my question clearly planted doubts in his heart. After that, I asked my classmate to hit on Esther, sneakily filmed it on the phone, and anonymously sent the video to Olaf. Esther, who is this guy? I don't know. He just came up to me out of nowhere and gave me flowers. Yeah, right. Their relationship was on the rocks because of me. It was time to end it. One day, they went on a picnic. I stole the Baroness's brooch and put it into Esther's purse. Soon, the woman discovered it was missing and told the security guards to find it. Poor Olaf turned pale when the stolen jewelry was found in his girlfriend's purse. Esther, how could you? I didn't take it. I told you this girl was bad news. Olaf immediately broke up with Esther and chased her away. His parents gave me a thumbs up behind his back. They were beaming, but I wasn't proud of myself at all. In fact, I felt terribly guilty. If it hadn't been for Mom's illness, I would have never treated my friend like that. Olaf was inconsolable. He barely ate, and I felt sorry for him. Still, I couldn't tell him the truth, so I decided to find a way to cheer him up. Hey, let's go out at night and draw graffiti to get your mind off things. Why not? Things can't get any worse. When it got dark, we met in the city and found a nice wall in an alley. However, as soon as we picked up our spray paints, someone suddenly shone flashlights in our faces. Hey, you brats, stand still. Damn it, it's the cops. Scatter! The prince grabbed my hand, and we started to run away from the cops through the narrow alleys. We managed to get away quickly, but immediately ran into some thugs. Look, guys, we have visitors. What a sweet couple. We had to keep running. My adrenaline was through the roof. But you know what? It was exciting. Olaf and I decided to hide and jumped over a hedge. Unfortunately, oops, there was a river behind it and we both fell into the water. Olaf started flailing and shouting that he didn't know how to swim. Calm down. I will save you, Your Highness. I grabbed him and dragged him ashore. We found ourselves under the bridge where we first found out each other's secret identities. We sat down close to each other, trying to warm up. My teeth were chattering from the cold and my heart was pounding. But we were both laughing. You sure know how to have fun, Prince. You're quite the daredevil too. And then he suddenly looked into my eyes and kissed me. It was nuts. I felt like a heroine of a romantic movie. We started to date in secret. I'd never been happier. We tried not to get caught by his parents when we were in the mansion, and in the evenings, we walked around the city and drew graffiti. One day, he brought me under our bridge for a romantic date and showed me his new drawing. It was a love confession. Nora, you're my soulmate. I want us to always be together. Words cannot describe how happy I was. Unfortunately, I felt like I didn't deserve it. After all, I broke Olaf and Esther up and won his heart thanks to a lie. One day, I was visiting my mother in the hospital as usual when I saw Esther sleeping on the bed next to her. Poor thing, what happened to her? A nurse came up to me and told me that Esther had had a nervous breakdown because her boyfriend had left her. My heart sank. Only then did I realize what a truly horrible thing I had done. I loved Olaf, but I had to get him and Esther back together. That same day, I came to Olaf's home and told his parents I was done lying to their son. What we did was terrible. They should be together. I've already spent the money you gave me, but I will work for you for free until I pay it all back. They were furious, but I knew I was doing the right thing. After that, I met Esther for Olaf and told them the truth. I can't believe it. You broke my heart, Nora! Before I could say I did it to save my mother, he shouted that he hated me and left to confront his parents. They were shouting so loudly, the whole city probably heard them. I thought you were just snobs, but you turned out to be much worse. I don't want to have anything to do with you. I give up my title and inheritance. Goodbye. With those words, he took Esther's hand and they left the castle. From that day on, my life became dull. I disappointed the love of my life. I worked for free in the mansion while looking for another part-time job. I didn't even have the energy or time to keep drawing graffiti. There was only one thing that made me happy. My mother had recovered, and the doctors promised to discharge her soon. I was cleaning the mansion when I saw the Baroness sobbing while hugging their family portrait. Are you okay? She said through tears that she really missed her son. Perhaps I was wrong. I only wished the best for Olaf, but he ran off with that girl. She's not right for him. Well, Olaf has the right to decide that for himself. Even if he makes mistakes, it's all part of life. I'm sure you'll make up sooner or later. Thank you, Nora. You know, you're a very smart and sweet girl. I would be happy if my son dated someone like you. With a higher status, of course. What a weird compliment. Well, that's aristocrats for you. We chatted a little more until she calmed down. That evening, I went to the hospital to see my mother. In the corridor, the nurse I'd already talked to suddenly took me aside. I need to tell you something. That girl, Esther, wasn't sick. She followed you and found out that you often visited your mother in the hospital. Then, she paid me to make it look like she had a nervous breakdown. But I can no longer keep quiet. I feel terrible. What? Had Esther done it all to make up with Olaf? I hadn't expected that from her. I spent the next day thinking about Olaf. I wanted to know how he was doing and if he was happy with Esther. After school, I came to work and suddenly saw Esther in the mansion. What was she doing there? I followed her. The girl walked into the hall and said that she needed to talk to the prince's parents. How curious. I pressed my ear to the door and listened in. How dare you come here? Listen, I'm tired of playing the good girl. Your son is staying at my place. He ran out of money, and without his status and wealth, I need him no more than a pimple on my forehead. I'll make you a deal. You give me the money and I dump Olaf. He'll come running back to you and we'll all be happy. Unbelievable! She looked like an innocent lamb, but she was actually incredibly calculating. Apparently, she really was dating Olaf for money. His parents had been right to suspect her. I ruined everything when I helped them reconcile. Olaf's parents happily paid that liar, and she left. The Baron and Baroness were so happy, they even forgave me for the debt. Nora, this is amazing news! Our son will be coming home soon. You don't need to work for us anymore, dear. You should focus on your studies instead. You have a bright future ahead of you. Well, it seemed everything ended well. I knew Olaf wouldn't want to see me after everything I did, so I went home and tried to forget about him. But a couple of days later, the Baroness called me and said Olaf hadn't come home. I talked to Esther. As soon as she broke up with him, Olaf immediately ran away. No one knows where he is. We're worried out of our minds. I think I know where Olaf is. I put the phone away, grabbed some hot dogs, and rushed to our place under the bridge. What I saw there made tears sting my eyes. The prince was sleeping on a cardboard box, curled up like a stray kitten. I sat down next to him and woke him up. I bet you're hungry, my prince. Nora, what are you doing here? I told him everything I knew about Esther and explained that I'd only betrayed him to save my mom. Is she feeling better now? Yes, she's recovering after a surgery. Will you go back to your parents now? I hate admitting they were right. Esther really turned out to be a gold digger. I'm too embarrassed to go home. And I don't like that Mom and Dad are obsessed with their status and look down on everyone. All of a sudden, we saw the Baron and the Baroness. They sat down next to Olaf on the cardboard box, eating hot dogs like ordinary people. It's delicious. Why haven't we tried it before? What are you doing here? Nora told us about your secret place. Son, we promised not to tell you who to date anymore. Really? Then he smiled slyly and looked at me. Meet my girlfriend then. Nora is my soulmate. I tensed up. What if his parents said their son was out of my league? But they just nodded approvingly. Excellent choice, son. Nora is a wonderful girl. We got our happy ending! Everyone forgave each other and made up. Now, Olaf and I don't have to hide our relationship. My boyfriend turned out to be a real prince. He doesn't just have a cool title, but also a noble and brave heart. And I realize how important it is to be honest with yourself and others.